What is up, you guys? Glitches here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to bring you an in-depth guide on everything you need to know for seasonal transfers. For those of you that have logged in either today or yesterday, you may have already noticed that you are on a server potentially that is ready to basically sign up for the next season. Now, if you watched the live stream recently and things like that, they did announce that the new PvP scenario won't be available until next month, and the new PvE scenario won't be available until October. So to hold us over until then, if you go to the sign up sheet by hitting escape and then go to the basically seasonal tab, you will now be offered a chance to sign up for what is considered a hard mode server. So if we go and click this, you'll notice that we have the four options here. The Way of Winter is going to be the PvE one once that opens up. Prism versus Clash is going to be the PvP one. Those will unlock later on, but for now we have the hard modes of the PvP and PvE. We are going with the hard mode PvP or PvE server, but I wanted to basically show you guys what you need to do to sign up and reserve a slot for it, and the things that you're actually going to be getting when joining one of these new servers. So if you go ahead and click on, say, the PvE one, for example, you're going to be introduced to a big list of different servers. These are all the different servers that'll be available for the next season, basically. And they are broken up in between normal servers, and if we go to page 2, they have hard servers. So hard mode, and depending on which difficulty you choose, there are some variables that are going to change. So on normal mode, this is going to be slightly harder, I believe, than our novice season that we're in now, but it's basically going to be like your typical basic survival difficulty, suitable for most players. You will have some new modifiers, so there will be super anomaly variants, both in normal mode and hard mode when you transfer to this new server, that make some of the enemies a little bit more difficult. So for the ones with the blue and yellow tag, it's going to be phase and coherence. So the super anomaly phase, basically phase deviants have a high damage reduction, and the countermeasures to that will be the anti-phase cradle override. So we are going to be getting some options within our cradle to basically counter these new elite enemies and these new variants, as well as shrapnel damage and damage while inside of Fortress Warfare. The next one is going to be super anomaly coherence, and coherence deviants carry a coherence device, and while the device is intact, coherence deviants are invincible. So the countermeasures to coherence will be the anti-coherence override on the cradle, as well as bounce damage and damage while in the fast gunner state. So fast gunner builds will be really good for that. If we scroll down, here is a list, basically a summary of those overrides, not just for the damage types, but also the weapon types. So the super anomaly countermeasures, SMGs and sniper rifles will counter the super anomaly phase, and pistols and crossbows counter the super anomaly coherence. Keyword enhancements, basically for these particular damage types, are going to be fast gunner, burn, shrapnel, and fortress warfare. They will be enhanced during the season, so that's good. There's also going to be special wish machine options depending on which server you pick. So the ones that are basically normal mode that have the phase and coherence variant will be getting a new wish machine basically option that will unlock prize pools containing the Predator LMG for Fast Gunner, as well as the Oasis mask for Fast Gunner as well, in the as an option, like one of those secondary tabs within the wish machine, which we don't currently have right now. So that's cool. It'll allow you to unlock some more stuff for your builds potentially. And then for calibration blueprints, they're adding a new one for the server called the Boost Style, which suits pistols and shotguns and can increase the keyword trigger chance through reloading, obtained by disassembling dropped gear or defeating super anomalies. So that's those new enemy variants we're going to be fighting. That's how you can unlock that new type of calibration. And that's the little like calibration mods that you put on your weapons to give them some bonus stats. The other options that you can go with that are normal are the blue and yellow variants. That is going to be the void and balance deviant invasion. So for the basically super anomalies, we have void. Void deviants start with a shield that grants them immunity to most damage effects. The countermeasures will be the anti-void cradle override, as well as unstable bomber damage and power surge damage. Super anomaly balance. The deviants will recover HP over time after taking damage, and the countermeasures for that will be the anti-balance cradle override, as well as burn and frost vortex damage. And then for the override, basically summary, shotguns and rifles will counter the super anomaly void, and sniper rifles and pistols will counter the super anomaly balance. Keyword enhancements that are going to be boosted this season on this server will be unstable bomber, power surge, the bullseye, and bounce. So not too bad there. And then the cool thing with this one is instead of getting the Predator LMG and Oasis mask, these specific server types will have new options to unlock the Jaws unstable bomber pistol, as well as the Shaman Vulture top, which is another amazing torso piece for unstable bomber builds. So some new options on the wish machine there. And then for these servers, for the new calibration blueprints, we're getting a new style called Frugal Style. Suits pistols and sniper rifles, allowing for ammo replenishment from missed shots, attained by disassembling drop gear or defeating super anomalies. So same way to get them as on the other variant type. So that is pretty much what you're going to be getting if you're running on a normal server between the two variants. The other option that you can do is basically have the same variants, but go to a hard mode server, and that will be designated by a red shield. And if you click this, it's basically going to be exactly the same. The only difference is if you go to the hard mode, basically style, there's going to be a bunch of basically added difficulty features that make it a little bit trickier. So survival challenges, pollution zones in the wilderness cover larger areas and have significantly increased contamination, as well as energy and hydration depletion depletes twice as quickly, and the effects of full energy and hydration last for a shorter period of time. Also, for combat environment, deviant stats, awareness, movement speed, and attack frequency are going to be increased, so enemies are going to be more agitated and kind of get attracted to your location a little bit faster. And in the territory purification game mode, which is when we clear out the deviants from our base, the types of deviants attacking the territory will change, increasing the difficulty a little bit. However, and this is the main reason why me and my community are joining a hard mode server, is if you're leveled up and you're prepared, the increased rewards is the thing that everyone's going to be hunting for. And basically the Starchrome rewards for completing seasonal goals are going to be increased by 20%. And the amount of Starchrome obtained from purifying Eclipse Cortexes from territory purifications, as well as the Chaotic Cortexes from PvP servers, are also going to be increased. So if you've got a lot of stuff already set up and you're prepared and you think you're clearing things pretty easily in the current state of the game right now, I would recommend potentially getting some friends together or a bigger group, or join us on the Glitch Gang and join us on a hard mode server, because it's basically just going to be a farming session for the next month or two to just get us that much stronger and ready for the actual new big PvE event that's going to release in October. If you're on a PvP server, that's going to be a little bit different. But before we jump over to that, I do want to go over basically the scenario features. So the actual features of a PvE server, at least for hard mode Manibus, are going to be exactly the same as they are in our novice season. The only difference is the unique characteristics here. Featured game mode, the Prime War, metahumans must work together to compete Nevatans. That's going to all be the same. However, there's going to be new deviation special abilities. So the following deviations may gain special abilities and change color when acquired. This includes the Nutcracker, the Digby Boy, Grow Shroom, Extra Dimensional Cat, Butterfly's Emissary, Festering Gel, and Fetch-a-Lot Bunny. I've heard of a few people already getting ones like a blue Festering Gel that when shouldered in your backpack, not only can it obviously be used its normal abilities, but it has a passive chance to give you bonus weapon damage and or status damage, which is pretty cool. So they're going to start getting some unique abilities that'll make you even stronger. So be on the hunt for those. The map region is going to be the same. And then below is just going to be a list of all the available deviants, which should be the same ones that we have now, depending on if you're on a PvP or PvE server, minus the additional variants that we could potentially get now. For those of you that don't know, the Way of Winter is going to actually take place in the snow territory. On the live stream, they did show some pretty cool basically footage of what the environments are going to look like. So I'm really excited to see that when it opens up in October. But until then, we're going to be going on the hard mode server to kind of prep a little bit more. But that's basically the options for PvE ones. And there is also, by the way, going to be, like if you go to the third page, a hard mode variant with the other style of deviant variants. So this one will be the phase and coherence instead of the void and balance. So they do have multiple hard modes depending on what variant you want to go with. Especially if you like already went with an unstable bomber build in this season, you might want to go over to one that is the void and balance because they're going to be weak to unstable bomber. So you won't necessarily have to rebuild a whole new kit. You can kind of use the one you've already been working on and keep building it if you so choose. Personally, I like being prepared for any situation, so I'm going to be making a bunch of different builds, and that's honestly what I recommend all of you do if possible, is spend that Starcrum wisely and just unlock some gear sets and key weapons to basically allow you to make several different loadouts. So you're always prepared. But that is for the PvE options. For the PvP servers, it's going to be the exact same thing. The only difference is we're going to have slightly different options for the basically features. And in this particular case, it's going to be the alternate deviations as well. So long story short, for the next month or two, depending on if you're on PvP or PvE servers, it's really just going to be an extension of what we're already doing now, just a little bit harder, and we're going to be getting increased rewards to help us gear up and prepare a little bit more for the big content that's going to be dropping in either September or October. So that is the whole server picking situation. The next thing I wanted to go over is how the seasonal transfers are actually going to work. I had a ton of questions that I sent the devs, and they honestly ended up not getting back to me with the answers I wanted. However, there is some people in the like European servers that have joined servers that have already done the transfer. So I was able to see how the actual process of joining up on these new servers are really going to work. And I have some information here that I wrote down that I want to share with you guys. So basically what's going to happen is once you basically sign up for a server and it will tell what day that server is going to open up, you can choose to join that new server right away. Or you can stay in your current server for, I think it's like 26 more days. It should say how much time's left on the thing. Once that fully ends, if you haven't picked a new server yet, your character will instantly be transferred to Eternaland, where it's just going to be in hiatus mode basically until you pick a new location to transfer to. But once you do pick one, you can then choose to start instantly on that new server. And how it's going to work is you basically are going to choose between two options. One is like the user-friendly, do everything from scratch all over again, or the kind of optimized route. If you've done everything so far in the game right now, personally, I would choose the left option, the basically simplified version, because that's going to remove some of the intro, basically tutorial missions that you would normally have to do. It auto completes all of those for you, and it's basically going to just throw you right into the game. You're going to spawn in basically gliding in midair just like you would after you left the tutorial, and then as soon as you land on the ground, a tooltip is going to come up that's going to basically talk about your Eternaland basically space-time backpack. And if you open that up, you're going to notice that basically every single one of your items, with the few exceptions of things like the solar drill and items that are tied to your memetics tree, because that's going to be completely wiped. Other things that don't transfer over are going to be things like your Rosetta access cards and stuff like this that are one-offs. That stuff can't be carried over from season to season because you're going to be starting from scratch from that sense. But everything else, your calibration blueprints, your ammunition, all of your deviated food items, controllers even. We weren't sure if controllers were going to be processed. Those can be brought over. All of your premium fuel, tactical items, every one of your deviations, all of your furniture items, even the one-offs. All of the one-off event items like the Crescent Moon statue from the season pass, or some of the other statues from like the loot crate option. All of these little currencies and stuff will just instantly get transferred to your space-time backpack, which you can see here. If you go to Manage Materials under the basically Eternaland section and go to Export Resources, you can see we have tabs for all of these different items, and right now they're blank. But once you jump in for the first time into a new server, everything that you had, with the exception of those few little one-off stuff that doesn't carry over, will instantly get thrown into this backpack for you. And then what they do is they're going to be giving everyone 20,000 basically points that you can then pick and choose the key items that you want to bring with you right away at the start of a next season. Now, there's some good information about this and some unfortunate information. The unfortunate side of things is stuff that I was looking forward to bringing, like my maxed out weapons, my legendary weapons, my maxed out legendary armor. The cost of those things are actually very, very expensive. So just for example, we have only 20,000 points, and to carry over just one maxed out like 10 calibration weapon with all the attachments and stuff on it will cost 11,000 points. So more than half of your total points it's going to cost to just bring one maxed out legendary weapon. So at first I was a little bummed out, but realistically, thinking about it as like technically how it would really work, it's actually not that big of a deal, because if you were to carry over that top tier weapon, sure, you might be able to use it out of the gate for a little bit, but after a few hours, it's going to break. And if you're in one of those starting zones, you're not going to have the materials to repair it. You're not going to have the materials to craft the proper ammunition for it. So realistically, when you start out fresh and you're in the beginning zone again, you're just going to be recrafting the tier 1 version of all of your weapons and armor, basically from scratch anyway. So in my personal opinion, even though it's kind of a bummer, I wouldn't waste any of my points on the legendary gear that we get. Have fun with them and use them now in the current season. But once you start fresh, just think of it as a clean slate for weapons and armor, and just build that good weapons and armor again, but at tier 1, so you can save your points. And then the things that I would recommend bringing over are things like your controllers, which are a limited commodity. Those are actually only 20 points per piece. So if you've got a ton of those, you can basically chuck all of those in your backpack and have them right away to give you some increased rewards. Some other costs for things are like your deviated food items that can be kind of tricky if you don't have a farm early on. Those cost 100 points a piece. So if you got a nice stockpile of deviated food, you can basically carry those over for pretty cheap. Some other things to take into consideration are your legendary and purple mods. Each legendary mod, calibration mod rather, is going to be 1,000 points, and then every purple calibration mod will be 800. I didn't really bother to look into blue because honestly, the purple and the golds are really the only ones you want to kind of invest in. So 800 for purple, 1,000 for legendary. Some other things would be, actually, I went over the deviated food. So yeah, that's 100. So that's basically like the main key things that I would personally, oh, and then your deviations, sorry. So your deviants, your deviations are going to be 800 points a piece. So if you want to have a decent deviation right out the gate, like for example, I like to use for my shrapnel build the basically wolf deviation, but you don't get that until like the 3rd or 4th zone once you fight the wolf hound boss. So I might spend 800 points to transfer the wolf over because I got one that has a high skill rating, and I'll be able to use that right away when the new season starts, which will be a nice boost to my build out the gate as well. So things like that, I would carry over maybe 2 or 3 of your key deviations that you want. That'll be a little over 1,000, 2,000 points out of the 20,000. I would carry over things like your controllers. I would carry over things like your tip-top legendary mod calibrations for your weapons, so you don't have to farm those over again. And then the last few things would be like your deviated food and just the random few things here and there that are like basic items, but they may take a little while to farm. That's the type of stuff that I would invest these points into, because we're going to want to strategically pick and choose what we want to carry over because we are limited. But after a while, basically all that will get broken down and you'll get astral sand, and you can use that in the eternal land to build more things and unlock basically future stuff for previous seasons. How long it will stay in your space-time backpack, I don't know. But that is how the point system is going to work and what I recommend bringing over. Like I said, pretty much everything you have is going to instantly show up in this backpack, even things like fuel and premium fuel. I didn't mention that a minute ago just because that's also very expensive. Regular fuel you can get away with, but like premium barreled fuel, for example, that's like thousands of points right there just to bring those over. Biomissiles, those things carry over, so all of your ammunition types. So there's basically unlimited options for everything that carries over that you can pick and choose what you want, but make sure before you go and spend all those 20,000 points that you kind of strategically plan in advance the few key things that you want the most before you just go and start spending it on anything random. Get like one good weapon, maybe one top deviation, food items, stuff like that. So be a little strategic with it, and you guys should be good. But that is how transferring things over would be. And then after that, once everything's transferred, you're going to just play through the story same way you would now, only if you're on a hard mode server, all of your Starcom rewards are going to be increased. And so you would just enjoy the game as it is. It's going to be another Manibus encounter. So same as what we're doing now on PvE. And you would just hold out until October. And hopefully by then, we're going to get increased loot, so we'll unlock some more legendary weapons. The other thing to take into consideration is the map is going to be a fresh start, so all of those blueprints from the mysterious chests that we collected in this season, we're going to be able to start getting duplicates of those, so now we can start enhancing the blueprints. Normally we would just calibrate them, but now that we have more blueprints, we can start enhancing the star level. So all of our basically older sets and basically loadouts that we're running now are just going to get even stronger because all of our gear is going to be upgraded. So there's a lot of cool things to look forward to. And I think that by joining either a normal or hard mode server and clearing the map out one more time before October, it's going to give us a huge boost to our loadouts before the new content drops. So yeah, that is pretty much it. I wanted to go over how all that works. Before I go, I'll walk over here right quick. As you can see, there might be a little new addition added onto the base. I've got a cool little video I'm going to make here soon going over the animal taming, and I may or may not have optimized the base even more than it already was. So after that video, if you guys enjoy it and you like the new setup, let me know, because I may do an updated build guide, a third one at this point, showing how to build the new addition that I added on, so that we can pretty much have every feature in the game all compact into one unique base design. So it's a really optimized, and we had more structures this time around. We have more things on the base and actually like 50 structures to spare, and before we were at the 700 cap. So look forward to that video. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed it, be sure to smash that like button. Hopefully you guys found it informative. It's going to be a pretty streamlined process. I thought we were going to have to like manually transfer things over here and there, but by the looks of it, from the videos I've seen from people in the European servers, they pretty much just automatically transfer everything you have over, so you don't have to worry about it at all. And then once you're in there, you then pick and choose what you want. So it has been streamlined. It is super easy. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. If you want to keep up to date with my future videos, like I mentioned, consider subscribing and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any of the future alerts. And lastly, if you want to join a killer community of like-minded gamers, feel free to check the links down in the description and join us on the Discord. We've got over 1,000 members in there now, many of which are playing Once Human and many of which are stoked for moving over to the new hard mode server. We're trying to get as many people in there. We've already made the announcement on the Discord of what hard mode server we're going to be going into. If you're paying attention to the video, you may have already seen. But yeah, that is what we're kind of telling everyone to jump into so we can all be together again. We've had a blast on this server for the first launch of the game, so hopefully you guys can join us and we'll see everyone around here soon. But until the next one, hope everyone has a great day, and we'll see you all later.